Send this to him. Okay. Hi, I don't
Okay,
know what that was so weird. I'm so sorry for that. I don't know what
it's
happened.
fine. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Do we need to start from the beginning, or you just wanna?
Yeah, so can you just
Okay.
give the information on just start all over because I think more people are coming in.
That's
Okay.
fine. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, no people are joining us, which is great.
Yes, let
Again,
us in the comments.
I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st District in Brooklyn, which is Flatbush and well, part of Canarsie and part of Flatlands, but
Uh-huh.
Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Windsor Terrace, and Park Slope. I'm the majority whip in the New York State Senate, as well as the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee. I always tell people that being a senator, my job is two parts, right? It's legislation and leadership. The legislative part of my job is what I do in Albany. The legislative session in the state of New York is from the first week in January to about the third week in June.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of 63 members of the Senate. We all represent about 310,000 people. Everybody in the city of New York represents 318,000 people. Um, it's us in the Senate, and then the Assembly, there's about 150, 212 of us all in all. And we passed the budget. We have the third largest budget in the entire country. It's about 100 this year, about $180 billion. If we were our own country, Kay,
So
we'd be
so what question? I'm sorry to cut you off. What does the budget do for New York State?
right. So the budget is all the money, right? Is all your tax dollars, right?
Okay.
And federal money as well. And we use that money to do everything: education, healthcare, housing, public protection, transportation, economic development. All gets spent out of that money. And like I said, we're the third largest budget in the entire country after the federal government in the state of California. If we were our own country, we'd be the eighth largest economy in the world. That's how
Wow.
big the state of New York's budget is. So it's a lot of
Wow.
money. Um, but this year we were running a deficit. Even before coronavirus, we were running about a $6.5 billion deficit. We are now estimated, according to the governor, at somewhere between 10 to $15 billion worth of deficit. Let's call it $12 billion worth of deficit. So we're really looking to get some relief from the federal government. It's been a fight because Trump doesn't want to provide any relief for the states, and Mitch McConnell, the majority leader of the Senate from Kentucky, also doesn't want to provide any relief to the states, and so it's a political battle that we're getting into. But it's going to be really important. So one of the big things we do with the budget, and then we pass all the other laws, right? The fact that you can't drive a car and talk on the phone is something that is a state law. Marriage equality, that was a state law, right? In the last budget, we just banned styrofoam, right? Like, so we do everything that, education, healthcare, all those things get actually decided on the state level.
Mm. Okay, so what is the 2020 census? We're seeing that a lot in the news. We're seeing it on social media. Why is it
Mhm.
so important to fill it out?
Yeah. So every 10 years, right, by law, the United States government has to do the census, right? This is
Okay.
part of the law of the state of New York, sorry, the country. And so we count every single person. You don't have to be a citizen, doesn't matter how long, but it's also a snapshot in time. So
Mm-hmm.
as of April 1st, you're filling out the form to say, as of April 1st, these are what the conditions are in my house. This is how many people live there. This is how much I make. This is who's there, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's important for three reasons. One, it unlocks the door to several $100 million worth of discretionary funding for the state, right? So we can get money for education, for healthcare, for roads,
Mm-hmm.
all those things, right? The second thing that is important for is that government institutions and and even private institutions make their decisions on where to locate things based on the census, right? Health
Yeah.
clinics, hospitals, schools, school lunch programs, all decided based on the census. Even supermarkets, right? Supermarket chains will look at the census data and say, how many people live in this area so I can figure out how many people may come and shop at my store, right?
But
So, mhm.
question. I'm sorry, I have a question. So what if I was an illegal immigrant? Would that affect me? Like, would I be
No.
because I wouldn't
So,
want the government to find out where I'm at
right,
and deport me.
right. So two things. One, they don't ask any questions on the census about citizenship. So nobody knows whether the person filling it out or
Okay.
whether the person who's filling out, like if you're filling out for your household, let's say there's 5 people in your household, let's say one of those people is here and they're undocumented. There's no way for anybody at the census to know that. That's the first thing. Second thing
Mm-hmm.
is that there is the census, the U.S. Department of Census is a lockbox. Individual data goes in. So there'll be individual data about Senator Kevin Parker, where I live, who I am, maybe my income or whatever. But only aggregate information goes out. So they may only be able to get information about African American men who fill out the census. They may only get information about people who live on Avenue H or people who live in Flatbush. But there's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be data about my particular census information and what I'm saying on the form. So anybody who is undocumented doesn't have to necessarily worry about filling out the census, or you don't have to worry about not counting those people. You should count all of those people because this is about counting people, not citizens. And
Yeah.
so let me go back to the third point, because I said that it's important, that the census is important for 3 reasons, right? It's important
Mm-hmm.
because it unlocks discretionary money. It's important because institutions, both state and private institutions, make decisions about where to place facilities based on it. And the third thing is political representation, right? So members of Congress, members of the state Senate, members of the state assembly, members of the city council, of county legislators, all their districts get decided based on the census. And you can actually gain representation or lose representation based on that census count. So we really want encouraging people to come out and stand up and be counted, because we want to make sure that our political voices are strong.
So it would definitely help the Black and brown community mostly, because we need more programs in our cities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it helps, again, it helps with representation. Let me tell you my quick story.
Okay.
When I first got into politics, well, 30 years ago, but about 20 years ago, I used to work for a guy named H. Carl McCall. He was the first African-American elected statewide in the state of New York. He was the state controller. He sent me back in 2000. I was his deputy director of government affairs. He sent me to go work on the census then in 2000, because we do it every 10 years.
Yes.
So I went, worked on the census, did a lot of stuff in Brooklyn. In 2001, we actually found out that the number of people in my community rose, and they drew an additional Senate seat. So the state Senate used to have 61 members. In 2002, they redrew the lines and created a new district. I ran for that seat and won. So I'm the only person to represent this district in this particular configuration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even before I took the oath of office, I voted for a guy named David Patterson, who was a state senator then, to become the minority leader. He was the first African American to lead a legislative conference in the history of the state of New York. He went on to lead us to the majority. The first time we went to the majority in 70 years. He became lieutenant governor and then became our first African American governor. So the first African American governor in the state of New York got created because we participated in the census, and people in my community elected me, which allowed me to elect him. And then we worked together to provide more representation for African Americans throughout the state.
Is there age limit to apply for the census, or anybody that's living in a household?
Anybody in the household. I mean, you're supposed to be over 18 to fill it out. The head of household should fill it out. Every person doesn't need to fill it out. Just one person in the household.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
So people want to sign up for the census. They're doing it for the first time online. They could www.my20census.gov. Or if you for some reason don't want to do it online, sometimes older people don't want to get online like that. You could also do it by phone at 844-330-2020. Again, that's 844-330-2020. And that line, you can actually fill out the census by phone that way.
And they also extended it to August, right? What's the last?
Yes.
August is the
cutoff date? They pushed it to August, yes, because it was supposed to end in July, but because of the pandemic, they want to push it back and give us more time to fill out the census.
Okay.
But do it today. Don't wait till August. Don't wait.
I have to do mine. Yeah, I have to do mine.
All
I just moved to Brooklyn, and it's only my roommate and I, so
nice.
I want to do it, especially since it's a lot more gentrified people in the area.
Awesome.
Yep. So definitely want to do that. But
got it.
So I actually wanted to talk to you. So today on the news, about 30 minutes ago, or an hour ago, they were talking about how New York State, we still have a big number of COVID-19 cases, but
Mm-hmm.
actually the people who are tested positive, the numbers have decreased. Has the New York pause been effective for us in general, or is this they're still trying to figure out how they can stop this problem or stop this virus from spreading?
That is the biggest news of the day. The biggest news of the day is that social distancing is working, right? So let me say that again.
Yes.
Social distancing is working. And we
Yes.
weren't really sure it was going to work, but it has worked to great effect. Although, it's worked, the numbers are still crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like as of today, right, May 6th, yesterday they lost 232 people passed away of COVID-19, right? And so, a shout out to the people, to their families and people who are, suffering losses. I've lost a number of
Mhm.
friends myself
Mhm.
during this pandemic. It's been a lot of, but 230 is a lot of people, and that number is down from almost 800,
Right.
right? And so there's still, the numbers are still crazy. Last week we had about 1,000 people a day showing up with new positive corona cases across the state, right? The vast majority of them in New York City, Long Island, and Westchester, right? This week is down to 600. Now it's down to 600, and that's a huge drop, which is great. But 600 people is still a crazy number, and we have to
Mhm.
get it. We have to get it going right now. The governor has extended the New York pause order until May 15th.
May 15th.
And
Yeah, they just
so,
extended
right.
another 30 days, I think, today.
Uh, did they? No, I didn't hear
I
that.
saw it on the news. Well, I just heard it. I don't know. This I
In
might be
in New
wrong.
York, in New York.
I think so.
So
New York.
you gotta be careful because
Mississippi.
each states are
They're
doing it
opening up
very
different
different.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we're going another 30 days. They're actually talking about relaxing it, but relaxing it in waves, right? And so they've been saying there's going to be probably some certain industries, certain locations will open up and they'll do it a little bit at a time. I think that New York City probably won't be open until after June 1st. The numbers are just going down, but they're not going down fast enough
Fast
that
enough.
I see us
Yeah.
to see us in the next. This pandemic
I'm
is
sorry. It was
over.
breaking up. It was.
Yep. I I said the other thing that people should be aware of is that even after they relax, right? The social
Mhm.
distancing, it doesn't mean that the pandemic is over, right? Until we get a vaccine, we're going to need to continue to socially distance. We're going to need to wear masks. We're going to need to wear gloves. Need to wear glasses when you're out in public where you can't socially distance. So if you're at a grocery store, or you're going to run into Target or something like that,
What do you
make
mean
sure
glasses? Like, what do you mean to?
the
Because
virus can enter your body through your eyes. And so you don't have to worry about it that much if you're just in the street, right? And let's say you out for taking a walk and you walking past somebody, you ain't put your mask on. You don't have to really worry about it that way. But if you're going into a store, you're going into the supermarket, you're going into an office building, you're going into the subway or the bus, you should have a mask on, gloves on, and glasses on.
glasses. So can it be sunglasses?
It could be
Does it have
any
to be
kind of
goggles?
glasses.
Okay.
You just need something to shield because you're within what they call the vector, right? And the reason why they say 6 feet is because that's about how far a sneeze or a cough goes, right? So if you're
Mm.
within 6 feet of somebody and they sneeze, you're within what they call the vector of those particles or those droplets reaching you, and you want to just create a barrier between you and that next person, right? So if you're both wearing a mask, right? Then that reduces both the ability for those droplets to get out from that person, and then also it reduces the ability for you to breathe that in if you're breathing in at the same time that they're breathing out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because also too, my age group, we're so used to being outside,
Mm-hmm.
and recently since it's becoming, the weather's it's starting to get nice outside, and we want summer. It's people want to start doing things for the summer,
Mm-hmm.
Is that an issue to have an outside barbecue? Or
Yeah, I think that we still, I mean, if you're doing something small with maybe a couple of family members, like 10, 12 people, that might be cool once we start, we relax social distancing. But like these big parties, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people, 200 people,
no?
no, no.
Okay.
We're going to, until we get a vaccine, it will not be safe for us to do big social gatherings,
Okay.
right? Not no football games, baseball games, concerts. You still there?
Hello?
Yep, you
Yeah, I'm
still
still
there?
there. Okay, pause for a second. So this past weekend, it was an issue with the New York police officer and an innocent bystander. In the case, I guess something happened and they weren't practicing social distancing. How is the New York government going to handle this now? Because it's now, NYPD we always had issues with NYPD. So what are we going to do to take the proper steps to stop police brutality, especially during a time like this? Like, it just needs to stop in general, but during this time, it's a little too much.
I have actually, frankly, have been very appalled by what I've seen in terms of a few officers. Let's be very clear, is that we need and love the New York City Police Department. They protect us, and during this pandemic, when people have not been on the street, they've been out there working every single day, and we appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that they're concerned with our health and welfare. But there's a few officers out there just taking it too far, right? Trying to do the most. And so there's a particular video with this one officer with a taser and all kinds of craziness. And that officer has been put on modified duty and there's an investigation. Apparently, he's somebody with a history of excessive force, and I expect that
Uh-huh.
I expect that the investigation, because I mean it's a video. I expect that the investigation will get to us a place where there'll be some significant discipline around it. I personally have talked to people in the police department and know that they are looking into this. The mayor I know is looking into this, and so we're hopefully working with the NYPD to do two things. One, to make sure that people are properly socially distancing and making sure that our community is safe and healthy. But simultaneously, we want respect and dignity as
At the
people
same
carry out their
time.
jobs and get addressed, because we're not seeing that dynamic in white
No.
communities, where
No,
sometimes
no.
sometimes when the behavior has been even more egregious,
Yes,
we have
yes,
not seen that. So that's
yes.
important.
And especially because, like I said, it's getting nice out, and New York, we're a mobile city. We're so used to moving around. We're so used to being outside, especially during the summertime. So from my view, from what I've seen, and for police brutality through my eyes since I've been born, is violence against young Black and brown men and
Hmm.
women. So I wanted to know if say if somebody like myself was just around the area of a barbecue or just a block party or something that had like a small gathering, would I be a victim of police brutality too, just because I'm just around that area?
I would hope not. I would hope not. I would hope that no one would be a victim of police brutality. I mean, I don't think that that's good for anybody, including the NYPD. And like I said, I think that these are some isolated instances. I mean, understand this: the city of New York has the largest standing police force in the world, right? Over thirty
Yes.
thousand police officers, right? And so we see a video with, let's say one or two or three, let's say it's 10 cops who are
Uh-huh.
not, that's not the whole force. That's 10 cops. And all we're saying is do the proper, we're saying this to the mayor, we're saying this to the police commissioner, do the proper enforcement and regulations around your police officers so that they respect our community, and understand that when people are when police officers are misbehaving, that's bad for the whole department, right? For those good cops who are out there
Yes.
working hard and trying to do the right thing. And so, like I said, it's unfortunate that a few cops are spoiling for the
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch. But like I said, I expect that that the vast majority of the police officers who are doing the right thing, who are trying to protect our community and keep it healthy, are going to continue to enforce the law the way they should, but they're going to do it with dignity and respect.
Okay. So First of all, thank you for sharing that, because that was one of my main questions.
Hmm.
Seeing that, seeing what happened over this past weekend or a couple of weeks
It's
ago,
disgusting. It's
disgusting.
been absolutely disgusting. And let me just tell you, everybody is pissed off about it. And all
Yes,
of us have had run-ins with the police, right? So it's not like,
we all
I'm
get
not used to it,
nervous.
I'm not familiar with it. It's horrible, and I've gone through my own things with the police department. And it's just unnecessary. But I'm also clear, because I do a lot of work with the police beyond just these emergencies, that when I see these isolated instances, I know it's not every police officer. It's an isolated incident, but we also need the mayor and the police department to respond to them. So there's a message sent that
To
behavior
stop.
is unacceptable, and that we can't continue to live in that manner.
Yeah, they I know they did, but Eric Gardner, the guy who was, who brutally hurt Eric Gardner, murdered
Hmm.
him, basically.
Right,
I know he was terminated
right.
last year.
Yep.
So we need to start making bigger examples like that. I know Mayor de Blasio did speak about it, but we need action done as soon as possible. Like, we've been dealing with this for the dawn of time. So we need to
Right.
not create any more instances for them to feel comfortable in harming us. But
Correct. Agreed. Agreed.
I'm hoping that they're working on that.
Is absolutely being, like I said, many of my colleagues are extremely hot about it, and I know that there's going to be some address about it with the mayor and the police commissioner.
So I wanted to know also about domestic violence.
Hmm.
I recently read that it has increased since the start of the pandemic. How can someone that's dealing with domestic violence right now, how can they seek help?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, domestic violence has actually increased since the pandemic over this last 8 weeks about 30%, which is a lot, right? Because unfortunately, when we did the stay-at-home order, we trapped a lot of victims in with their abusers.
Mm-hmm.
And so this has been something that I've talked about a significant amount. I've done a video on it, given a lot of information on it. I'll have my team put up the number, but there's a 1-800 number. There it is, 800-942-6906. That's 800-942-6906 is a number that if you or
800.
somebody you know has
I'm sorry, can you say that again? 800
yep,
942.
942-6906.
Okay.
And
I'm
so
gonna pin a comment.
yeah, so if anybody out there is experiencing um, domestic violence, call that number. They'll help you get out. They'll find alternative places for you to stay. They can help you get a order of protection. But nobody should have to live in fear. Nobody should have to live with abuse.
Okay. Oof, sorry, I was trying to make sure I'm going in order.
That's all right. I'm here.
So actually, yeah, also too. So CBS this reported that the New York State has started to shut down the transit,
Yeah.
MTA, because they could start cleaning it overnight. Is this going to be a habit too? Because they haven't cleaned it in over 115 years. So are we going to
Right.
start making this a habit?
Well, let me just say this. For now, right? I mean, one of the hallmarks of the New York City transportation system is that our system runs 24-hour days, 7 days a week, right? And for 150 years, the whole existence of this, of the New York City subway system, it's never been closed. And so now the governor has called for it to be closed not called for it. He's actually implemented a program where they're closing the subway from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. every night so they can disinfect every single train every night. And we're hoping that doing that will reduce the spread of the disease as well.
Good. Yeah.
That will last until we get a vaccine. So I would expect that that's going to be at least a year.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't just close it. There is an associated program that increases the amount of buses and creates a program where people who are not able to get where they need to get to because the train is closed can call an Uber or Lyft to take them where they need to go. And so there's
Right.
information about that as well. And so that's going to be an important part of how we start to move going forward.
Okay. So, do you think that the New York shutdown, well, you said a year, they're gonna stop doing
I'm
cleaning?
saying it's gonna be at least until they get a vaccine. And I'm saying that I expect it's gonna be at least a year before we have a vaccine that is able to be used in the general community. Even if they say, if you go with like Dr. Fauci, what he's saying that they expect that by January they should have a vaccine. Even if they have one January 1st, it's going to take them 5 or 6 months
to
to
get
ramp up
everybody vaccinated.
no, not even just to start the ramp up into production, right? Because just because you said, okay, I have the cure, you now have to mass produce the cure, and that's going to take months to ramp up.
So we won't be able to like leave the country until after.
I'm not saying you can leave the country now if you want to leave, if they'll take you. I wouldn't suggest it right now.
Yeah,
I would tell everybody just to travel. Like I love to travel. You know, I've been to 36 countries. I've been to 38 countries.
Oh,
I've been
wow,
to 36
like
out of 50 states.
I have to travel like you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be on the go. I was in 7 countries last year, right?
Wow.
I'm not going no place else until this is resolved, because you just can't take the chance. Because even though I know what they're doing in New York, I don't know what the conditions. No,
Hello, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, it was breaking up a little bit. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually wanted to know, what are you listening to? What music are you listening to right now, since you're at home? What are you listening to regarding hip hop?
So regarding hip hop, I mean, I'm listening to Hot 97. I'm listening to Power 105 when I can. I represent part of the community, not where he actually lived, but I represent part of the community of Canarsie, where Pop Smoke was from. So I've been listening to a lot of his stuff, just
Wow.
reminiscing on what we could have had. He was such a brilliant talent, to lose him like that was really, really hard. But I generally, I like a lot of kind of, things that people are not generally listening to, and I like a lot of older stuff, right? So I'm listening to a lot. I always listen to a lot of, Biggie and Jay-Z
Me
and
too.
stuff
I listen
from,
to a lot of old hip
right.
hop. So
Yeah, a lot of stuff from the 90s.
yeah.
But my favorite current rapper is Young M.A. So I've been
What?
listening.
Wow.
She's a Brooklyn girl. So I listen to the Queen, and so I'm listening to a lot of her stuff on YouTube and stuff like that.
That's
I love
dope. Are
her.
you watching any
Um,
movies? Like, are you streaming any movies at the moment?
I am. Also, let me just say a shout out to the family of Fred the Godson, who also passed away. Also one
Yes.
of my favorites.
Covid-19. Him and
Yeah.
another rapper, King Shooter. He's
Yep.
the artist of Dave East. He just passed away yesterday too from
Yeah,
Covid-19.
yeah. I just heard that, and condolences to their families. Like I said, we're losing a lot, during this time. But to answer your question directly, around movies, is I'm actually starting to catch up on some of the movies I didn't get to see. Like I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna watch it this week. Is Bad Boys for Life. So I didn't get a chance to see it when it was in the
Okay,
movies.
good.
I'm a big Star Wars fan, so this was a good week for me because May the 4th was Star Wars Day. So I'm gonna watch the last
Yes.
episode in the Jedi Awakens, the Force Awakens, and so I want to see that last movie again. And then I'm watching a couple of things on on Epix. There's a show called Pennyworth, which is about like a Batman spinoff
Oh, from the
Alfred
Butler.
Pennyworth, the Butler.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
So
a
that's
Batman fan too.
okay.
I can't think of his name right now, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a huge Batman
Alfred Pennyworth.
fan. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Batman
Yeah.
fan, like
Yeah,
beyond. So
I was just finished watching Gotham, and so now
you
I'm watching
finished the whole
Pennyworth.
season? Did you finish everything? The whole series of
Oh,
Gotham?
God, I have to watch the last season.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
When we
yeah,
get to the
it's
last
really
season,
good, but it's involved.
I'll ask you how you feel about the ending because
Okay.
I got some thoughts on it.
Yeah.
So do
So
you have a fun fact that you would like to share with our viewers to just get a little more, just to pick your brain a little bit more?
Wow, a fun fact. So when I was younger, I used to be a DJ and an MC. And
What was your rap name? Were you a
no,
rapper or a
no,
host?
no, no, no.
Oh.
I could never. I could tell you, but then I had to kill you. So no, so I'm not gonna tell you. Um, but but you know, but I grew up in Flatbush. I'll give you a 2 for 1, right? You know DJ Enough
Okay.
on the radio on Hot
Yes, of
97,
course.
right? I went to
Yes.
high school with him, so we went to Midwood High School together, and you know used to battle, but you know that's my dude.
Wow, you used
Yeah,
to battle rap?
son, like I had
You
all
call
the
me
bars. No, I'm joking.
oh.
No,
Who would
no.
have
So
known the
yeah, but
state senator had bars?
that was a long time. That was a long time ago. But you know, I came up in a time when rap was young, and there was a lot of a lot of people just coming up, like people like UTFO. I'm good friends with Kid
Yes.
Kango from UTFO. I went
Mm-hmm.
to junior high school with Chubb Rock. That's my dude.
Wow.
Chubb, all those folks that were coming up out of Brooklyn. There used to be a group called ESP.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of the real Roxanne
Yeah, of
was
course.
in
Roxanne
Flatbush.
Shante.
Howie T, who was the big producer at that time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of those folks. Full Force grew up, right in this neighborhood too. The producers, they were singers,
Uh-huh.
all of those folks.
Brooklyn
So
also had a lot of reggae artists. You said you grew up in Flatbush, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I know. Are you Caribbean as well or no?
I only represent the largest Caribbean community in the world outside of the Caribbean, but no, my
Yes.
family's actually from Virginia.
Oh, okay. So you Southern, all right. Yeah, because
Yeah,
Flatbush is like Jamaica, Trinidad, all in
trust
one.
me, I've been to all the dub
Haiti.
parties.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
and, and like we used to hang out in this place called Club Legend on Empire Boulevard way before you were born. I probably were hanging out there with your parents, but
Probably. I know all about those hip hop stories, especially on
yes,
14th Street, Union Square. So I
yes,
know
Union
all
Square.
about what
Yep,
was going on back in the
yep.
80s and
The
90s.
Palladium, the Roxy, the
I heard
Fun
of the
House.
Roxy.
Yeah, all of those places were used to be hot venues for us to go to. So absolutely.
Oh, I love like I've always watched like hip hop documentaries. So like I'm a big hip hop fan. Are you watching the Versus battle what Timbaland and Swiss Beats are creating right now? They're doing like
No,
a
no, I haven't checked that out yet. I've just honestly, I have not been able to do as much as I like to do during this period because we've just been all over the place between
I
trying
know,
to provide
yeah.
PPE to the hospitals and helping people with their unemployment insurance and dealing with the issues around schools and lack of Wi-Fi so people could do their assignments. It's been busy, so but I'll check that out. So when I come back
Yes.
on next time, I can
Yes.
give you my ideas. I have been checking out Tory Lanez a little bit on his
Oh,
Insta.
quarantine radio.
Woo!
Oh my God, no, this is great.
Crazy.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this. No, I appreciate what Tory Lanez has done for his platform, though.
Yeah,
Even
look,
though
I try to do the same thing for my platform, but my assistant don't think that that's a good thing
no,
for
but you
for
are
my
very
image.
active. You're very active on social media, and I love that. A lot of state senators are not as well. I don't know, but they don't seem as hip as you. And so that's
Well,
good that you're active on social media.
look, I think that social media is a great way to get your message out.
Yeah.
I've been in politics 30 years, right? We used to actually run our media operations off what we call a news cycle, right? And so there
Mm-hmm.
was like, the 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock news. And outside of that, you didn't get it. And you were really dependent on really white media to get your message out. Now with social media,
Yep.
right? I can put out whatever I want to, and I can have thousands of people just paying attention to what I say, unfiltered. So I can tell my side of the story
Yep.
without anybody else editing it or getting in. I can get on with people like yourself and collaborate with other people's platforms, to again share information, which is critical, or to get
Yes.
my own message out. And so
Yes.
I love it, and I have a great young person, Raven Robinson,
Yes.
who's
Shout out
been
to
wonderful.
Raven. Shout out to Raven because you're it's good that you're bridging the gap between your generation and my generation. Like
Hmm.
we're very active on social media, especially Instagram and Twitter. So for me, and I'm very active on Twitter, like I love Twitter. So for me to speak with you, I'm sharing this information with my peers. And I also
Right.
have a lot of friends that are teachers as well who are adjusting to working online with their students. That can be very
Right.
frustrating. So for me to be the bridge to speak to you about how can we help this and move forward with, you know, the teachers that are trying to communicate with their students, it helps tremendously. So
You know,
I
absolutely.
love that you're active on social media where we get direct communication to you. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, there has been in Brooklyn at least a formation of black elected officials throughout the borough, led by Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, who
mm-hmm.
has broke us up in committees. And I literally just had a conversation with one of the co-chairs of the Education and Technology Committee, which is Councilwoman Inez Barron, where we were talking about this very issue of education and technology and how we can do things better. Because, you know, again, this coronavirus pandemic caught us by surprise, but revealed a lot of the inequities in our community, not just in terms of healthcare, but also in terms of educational inequity and technological inequity. Access to high-speed broadband is the new digital divide, and we certainly one of the things we have to start addressing, you know, as we continue to move forward, because this can't continue to go the way it is.
No, not at all. I appreciate you for taking the time out to speak with me. I know we were talking almost close to an hour,
No,
but
no problem.
it's good that we built this communication because, like I said
Absolutely.
before, that we're able to bridge the gap between my generation and yours. Is there anything that you wanted to share before we go?
Yeah, just yeah,
If I didn't get to discuss anything.
yeah. No, I just really want people that this pandemic is a monumental event. There is no going back to that, to what things were. When people say, "Oh, when are things going to get back to normal?" There never is going to be normal as we knew it, right? And so people got to start thinking through what does the future look like in a first. You know, first we're not out of the pandemic yet, right? And
Yes.
then even once we relax social distancing, we still won't. Corona is not going anywhere. So coronavirus is still going to be here. And what does it look like in the context of how we move forward? What do our businesses look like? What does education look
Yes.
like? What does healthcare look
Yes.
like? You know, for people in your generation, what does dating and sex look like under the new
Yes.
dynamic that we're in when coronavirus is still out there and we have no vaccine, right? And so, you know, it's going to be a new normal. And I think that there's some obstacles there, but there's also some opportunities. And so
Mm-hmm.
people are going to need to see what those opportunities are and figure out how to take, you know, advantage of those opportunities and same time to be safe, happy, and healthy. And so I
Yeah.
just want people to know, you know, only together are we going to get through this, right?
Yeah.
But we will get through this. I want people to be safe. I want people to be, you know, informed, and I want folks to remember, you know, to bring good into the world and let no good be lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because but I'm sorry. Just one more last question. Because a lot of people are saying, you know, China was able to heal fast. China was able to do that, and Italy and over in Italy right now, they're reopening a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that the virus is completely gone from those
Correct.
countries. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's not gone. It's not gone. It still exists until we get a vaccine, right? And it's about a um, until we, and it'll never be a cure, but a race to a vaccine. When we finally get a vaccine, then you know things will start to change. But until we get a vaccine, we're going to be living with this. We may, in fact, be back to social distancing in October, November, because Dr. Fauci and others are confirming
Mm-hmm.
that we may have another spike in cases as early as October. So, you know, we have to be very careful. And that's why I'm saying, don't like whenever social distancing gets relaxed, don't get out here and start going buck wild and thinking, you know,
Yeah.
it's all good
Don't
in
be
the hood.
wilding.
That
Don't be
no, I
wilding.
mean, everybody needs to still keep, you know, keep easy, right? And don't be in no big crowds and all that stuff because you never know who got it, right? And so and you know it's very very deadly and it's taking people very very quickly, and so
Yeah.
everybody needs to be safe.
Wow. Thank you so much, Senator, for speaking with us today. You gave us so many gems, so many so much that we got, so much content that we could share with a lot of our followers who wasn't able to join today. So I appreciate you
Awesome.
1,000%. And I would love to have you back, especially once we start reopening the state slowly, to just hear your
Absolutely.
thoughts and what's going on with the government. If you don't mind that.
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You take care.